Hey, HIHers, Tico
And Oscar.
and Oscar. And we're at House of Blues in downtown San Diego with the composer and musical genius behind Battlestar Galactica, Bear McCreary.
How do you follow that?
So, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
First time performing at Comic-Con.
This actually is not. It's the
Oh.
first time we've had the full band.
Okay.
Last year, Rhea's band and Brendan's band, we did an acoustic set at a club called Anthology down the street.
Okay.
And we did a couple of Battlestar tunes. Mostly it was their original songs. We did Watchtower and Lords of Cobalt. We had a pretty big turnout, and even we had people come up and they were saying, "Oh my God, it's so incredible to hear Watchtower live!" And it was like Paul on violin, I was playing harmonium, Brendan was on guitar and bass, no drums, and people were still like blown away by it. And I remember thinking, we got to bring the full band here and show Comic-Con fans what it's really like.
Well, it's definitely special performing at Comic-Con because you have tons of Battlestar heads or Capricorns, whatever. Is there a correct term?
I don't know.
There's no.
You know, it's got to be around another 20, 30 years before you get the.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, it was very emotional finishing it, but as you can see, I'm having trouble letting go. So I don't know. I don't know that it'll ever be finished. Truly, I mean that I can put Battlestar behind me entirely. I mean, I think there's audiences that continue to want to see the shows, hear the score live. I mean, the music seems to be resonating with people, you know. And there's Caprica, which is a sort of another side of it. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm glad that it's over because now I have this body of work that's finished. And what we do with it, how we rearrange it or perform it or share it with audiences, that can change. But like when we did that last episode, if there had been a season 5, I would have died. I mean, there's no way I could have kept going. I gave it my all, and this journey was complete, you know. So, and the season 4 record is I am so proud of how this turned out. I mean, again,
There it is.
this record is my greatest achievement as a musician so far, and I think it might be a while before I ever top it. But so I'm proud of this. Maybe we'll do a live record or a live DVD, or I can release. I have a bunch of unreleased music. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can keep doing without having to continue making Battlestar episodes because the story was coming to an end, and it did end very well. When Revelations aired, I was working on the following 2 episodes, and I had seen a few more after that. But what I was referring to was, in fact, Someone to Watch Over Me, which I had been on the set working on, and I was already writing all these piano pieces. And while the piano pieces did not match the grandeur and the epic scope of that piece that I wrote for Revelations, the integration of the music in that episode was the most daring thing I have ever seen, in my opinion, on television or arguably in movies. I mean, I don't mean to compare my music to the person I'm about to bring up, because it doesn't. But the approach was similar to Close Encounters, where they clearly had to come up with this little 5-note thing in advance, and the entire film was based around this. Disclaimer: I'm not comparing my score to that score because that is, but still, we had to write these pieces in advance, and the entire script was woven around it, and lines of dialogue that the composer character, the pianist character, was saying were taken from conversations I had with the writers, and I knew it would be a really powerful moment. Not to mention the sort of climactic musical scene where Kara is playing this piece on the piano, and it builds and builds, and Ty recognizes it. I mean, I just knew that would bring down the house, as it did last night when we did it with Katie, who was here.
And as it did at the grand performance.
Yes, we actually.
Which you didn't even mention that she was gonna be there. You didn't say you're gonna have a special.
We wanted to surprise people, and honestly, it came up at the last minute. Katie and I were talking on the phone and emailing, and I said, "Hey, you want to come to the show?" And she said yes. And then I said, "Hey, you could get up there and play piano." And she goes, "Okay." And then I go, okay, well, come to sound check and we'll rehearse. And she goes, okay. And then she showed up and I go, so were you being serious? And she goes, were you? And I go, well, yeah. And we tried it out and it worked out. I mean, it was really sort of spontaneous. You know? Yeah, it was very emotional for me to be up there because the writers and director of that episode were there in the audience, and we were all there on set together, and I was showing Katie how to play this and coaching them through it and writing these piano pieces, and then to be on stage in front of thousands of Battlestar fans, and there's me and Katie at the piano, and then it builds into this version of Watchtower in real life. You know, it's not an editorial, it's not on this scoring stage, it's like, there it is. The band is there, I'm there, Katie's there, and Michael Nakin and David Weddle and Bradley Thompson are in the audience with everybody else, getting to just experience this thing that we created. It was amazing. It was an experience I'll never forget. You have to make creative sacrifices, of course. To perform the score live the way it should be done would require a 100-piece orchestra and a 40-voice choir and a 30-piece percussion section and 10 ethnic soloists and fireworks and pyrotechnics and a giant life-size Galactica dropping in on you and jumping away and like explosions. I mean, yeah, that's what you need, you know. But the funny thing is, I feel like when we perform this live, you feel that. I mean, it's huge. It's so loud and bombastic and powerful that you don't notice that. Well, on the record we had 40 tracks of drums, or sometimes 60, and up here we only have 4 guys. But it's huge. It's powerful. So it works. It's the difference between being live and being able to share it with the audience. I mean, in many ways we go through and I kind of rearrange it as we go and figure out new ways to approach the material, But again, it's interesting because technically you say, well, we're making it smaller for the show, but it doesn't feel small. When you're here in the audience, it feels bigger.
Oh yeah.